Good morning. We will give just a moment to clear the waiting room and make sure that folks have connected to audio, and then we will get started. As a reminder, when you are entering from the waiting room, please do remain on mute unless or until you are providing testimony to the board. Good morning. This is a hearing before the licensing board for the city of Boston. Today is Tuesday, August 20th, 2024. Today's hearing is being held pursuant to temporary amendments to the open meeting law. That is what allows us to meet virtually. Today's hearing is being recorded and will be posted to the City of Boston's website. Before I review procedural matters, I will introduce Chairwoman of the Board, Kathleen Joyce.
Thanks, Danny. Good morning. My name is Kathleen Joyce, Chair of the Boston Licensing Board, and this morning I'm joined by Commissioner Kiana Saxon and Commissioner Liam Curran.
Thank you very much. Please do ensure that your audio and visuals are working properly if you plan to provide testimony. I will call each item in the order that it appears on this morning's agenda. I will then ask who is present on behalf of the licensee, who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department, and whether there are any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify. I will then swear in all parties. After that, the police report will be read into the record, and the licensee or their representative will have the opportunity to make a brief statement, followed by questions by the chair and commissioners. All testimony will be limited only to those individuals with firsthand personal knowledge of the alleged incident. Begin with the first item on this morning's agenda, calling item number 1, Old Trafford Inc., doing business as Paradise, located at 967 Commonwealth Ave. Date of the incident, April 18th, 2024. Dangerous condition, that being a mosh pit, in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64. Who's present on behalf of the licensee?
Good morning, Attorney Green. Excuse me, Dennis Quilty, attorney representing the licensee. With me this morning, Bill Guerra and Joe Dunn. Good morning, Madam Chair and members.
Thank you. I see Mr. Guerra and Mr. Dunn, so thank you very much. Who's present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Good morning, sir. This is Sergeant Nemus of District D4.
Thank you very much, Sergeant. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify? Can you all please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Sergeant Nemus, if you could please proceed with the police report for the board.
Good morning. I'll just jump right into the narrative, folks.
Thank you.
About 9:49 p.m. on April 18th, 2024, Officer Montperouse, assigned to the Kilo 424 Frank, responded to a radio call for an unknown at 967 Commonwealth Ave, also known as the Paradise Rock Club in Brighton. Upon arrival, the officer met with security manager Mr. Matt Montero, apologize on the pronunciation, who stated one gentleman was taken by Boston EMS for head injuries, while 2 more parties were still inside. The officer was then escorted inside, where he then spoke with Mr. Robert Cross, who stated he was fine. He fell off the stage onto someone and hit his neck. Mr. Cross denied any medical attention and instructed if he felt he needed anything to call 911. The officer then spoke with Miss Madison Coburn, who stated she just felt a little dizzy after being inside the mosh pit and fell to the ground. Miss Coburn denied medical attention, but was still seen by a private ambulance and was let go. Sergeant Nemus, the Kilo 916, arrived on scene to conduct a licensed premise inspection. Officers were met by the manager, William Guerrera, and staff who were extremely cooperative. Sergeant Nemus issued a licensed premise inspection notice and spoke with Mr. Joseph Milligan at he was in the mosh pit. Mr. Milligan stated he fell to the ground and doesn't remember who hit him. The officer then spoke with nursing staff who stated he was going to get a CAT scan. There was a body-worn camera activated during the event. Nothing follows, sir.
Thank you very much, Sergeant. Attorney Quilty, would you like to address the alleged incident?
If I may, thank you very much, Attorney Green. Sergeant, you wrote the licensed premise inspection notice, is that right?
That is correct. Yes, sir.
And you indicated that the police were called by staff?
To the best of my recollection, I believe that to be accurate, sir.
Okay, and that the management cooperated as you indicated in your report as well.
Sir, yes, sir, I would just say historically, the staff of the Paradise Rock Lounge have always been highly cooperative.
Thank you, sir. And just with regard to arrival on scene, the first officer, was that Officer Montparnasse?
Correct, sir.
And that officer arrived after this incident had already occurred. He arrived and saw this person outside, is that correct?
Correct. He would have been the first member of the Boston Police Department to arrive, sir.
All right, and then when you arrived, was the show over by the time you got there?
I'd say the majority of it, quote unquote, the show would have been over for the most part.
Okay, all right. All right, thank you, Sergeant. I appreciate your commentary, especially with the staff. Thank you very much. Madam Chair, one thing to be clarified, I think, is that there is no such thing as a mosh pit at the Paradise. The Paradise is, as I'm sure the board remembers from licensing and expanding the license years ago, it's one open space. It's all standing room, with the rare occasion when for a comedy performance or some kind of an acoustic performance, there might be chairs set up on the floor in front of the stage, but otherwise it's entirely open space. There is no dedicated or undedicated so-called mosh pit. In this circumstance, the unfortunate thing is, I think Mr. Guerra can explain this. Sometimes these bands encourage people to crowd the stage, and in some cases like this, get on the stage. And we believe what happened is that this individual did so and fell off the stage. But there is no mosh pit at the Paradise. We don't condone mosh pits. We don't have a mosh pit. And if I may just ask Mr. Guerra to introduce himself, could he perhaps explain this a little bit better? Mr. Guerra, you've been sworn. Just state your name for the record, please.
William Guerra, General Manager of the Paradise.
Right, and were you on duty on the night in question?
Yes,
And in fact, are you one of the persons who cooperated with the police when they arrived there?
yes, correct.
And first of all, do you have a mosh pit at the Paradise?
Not as we don't have a dedicated mosh pit or a moshing area or anything like that. It's just the dance floor in front of the stage.
Okay, and on a night in question, do you have staffing near and at the stage area for a performance such as this night?
Yes, absolutely. We have security staff stationed across the front of the stage and at the ends of the stage. We do our best to police this sort of thing and certainly try to keep people off the stage as much as is possible. Sometimes it just gets to a point where these particular types of bands encourage getting on the stage, and they even help people to get on the stage, as was happening that night.
That's what happened this night?
Yes, we had one of the members of the band was helping someone over one of our security guards, and when our security guard attempted to intervene and stop that from happening, he actually got a little bit of an earful from the member of the band, who apologized later. But
and would you describe the difficulties of trying to observe the crowd and deal with band members at the same time?
Yeah, I mean, it certainly gets tricky. We have, there'll be a few hundred people in front of the stage, and the band is encouraging them to mosh and slam dance and try to get up on stage. And we will staff heavily for these types of shows, but there's only really so much you can do with 22 to 25 security guards when you have, that many people attempting to do this.
And on a night like this, did you have additional security in place?
Yes,
Okay. And are there occasions where in addition to your own staff, you will call in outside security?
absolutely. Yep.
Okay. And have you had occasion to have to do that in the recent past?
I think the last time, it's been a couple of months since we've had to contract with a third party for that, but we have done it fairly recently.
Okay, all right. And again, you were there and you dealt with the police officers and assisted them, is that correct?
Yeah, yeah. And they were very, very helpful.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Guerra. Mr. Dunn, you've been sworn as well. You weren't there that night, were you?
I was not, no.
Okay, all right. But you can speak to if there are questions about, how you're staffing for security and what steps are taken to keep people safe.
Sure, yes.
You're questioned on that.
Yes.
All right, I think, Madam Chair, we're ready for your questions.
Thank you. Do you have conversations with the band beforehand regarding your policy on washing?
Yes.
And who was the band on this night?
I'm trying to remember the name of the band. It was, I'm sorry, I can look it up real quick, but I did meet with their tour manager prior to the show. Just give me one moment, I'll find the name.
And then if you could tell me a little bit about meeting with the tour manager prior to the show, what you explained to them, were your expectations and what their response was?
Yeah, so what happened, and this has happened a couple times where, and in this particular instance, the tour manager spoke with our production manager early in the day. They discussed the fact that their crowd does behave in this manner. And just to give us sort of a warning of what we were in for, we explained that, of course, we're going to do everything we can to prevent anybody from getting on the stage. The tour manager had specifically said that the band really does enjoy having people come up there with them. They like it's sort of a part of the culture of this type of music. It was a hardcore band, punk rock hardcore. And so, she was trying to warn us that, in fact, this was a possibility that they would try to do it. And she said, basically, best of luck stopping them. She did say that most of the crowd sort of self-polices, and it's usually not a problem for them. But we explained to her and to the team that, of course, we were still going to be there, be a presence, and do everything in our power to prevent them from getting on the stage.
Okay, those are my questions. Commissioner Curran or Commissioner Saxon?
I don't have any questions. Thank you.
None from me right now. Thank you.
Thank you. If there are no further questions from the board, then the board will take this matter under advisement. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Calling item number 2, Witchcraft LLC, doing business as New England Wicked Craft Company, located at 54 Salem Street. Date of the incident, May 10th, 2024. Assault and battery, patron on employee in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 13A. Assault and battery, employee on patron in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 13A. And assault and battery with a dangerous weapon, a glass, in a patron employee in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 15A. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Steve Basson, General Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Basson. I see you're on a cell phone. Is it possible to turn your camera on so that we can swear you in?
I called in through the Zoom number. I'm not sure how to initiate a camera through that. Is there a way for me to do that?
I'm looking right now. I don't see an option for me to turn your camera on. Chairman Joyce, will you accept if Mr. Basson can affirm for the board that he will raise his right hand when asked to do so?
Sure.
Thank you. Mr. Basson, do you have anybody with you as well on behalf of New England Wicked Craft?
I do not, but I had the victim of the assault who he submitted a statement. I emailed it over. I believe it was Maureen.
Yep, the board did receive that. It is on file. That individual is not here for questions from the board, so I can't promise how much weight the board will give it, but that is on file with the board. I will ask who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department.
Police Officer Lee. Boston Police.
Detective
Detective Walsh, Boston Police.
Thank you, Officer Lee. Thank you, Detective Walsh. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify this morning? Can you all please raise your right hand? And Mr. Bassan, can you please affirm to the board that you are raising your right hand?
Yes, I am.
Thank you. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Thank you. Who will be reading the police report into the record?
I can read the police report.
Thank you. If you could please proceed.
About 9:53 p.m. on Friday, 10th, 2024, Officer Lee and Ortiz Arias responded to a radio call for a fight at the Wicked Craft located at 62 Salem Street, Boston. Upon arrival, officers were directed to Timothy Jacobin, 2188. Officers talked to Jacobin and he stated that he was done with his meal and was waiting for his wife to go to the bathroom in the foyer of the restaurant. To the foyer being very narrow, Wicked Craft employee Edwin St. Louis, 92688, asked Jacobin to leave the restaurant. Jacobin refused to leave without his wife. St. Louis grabbed Jacobin outside, and that is when they began to push and shove each other. St. Louis and Wicked Craft manager Stephen Bisson, 21695, took Jacobin to the ground. In the ensuing fight, St. Louis stated he was punched in the back of the head and had a glass thrown at the back of his head by the wife of Jacobin, Lena Montano, 112. They also grabbed him in the back of the neck. Bisson stated that he was punched twice in the chest on the left side. Wicked Craft employee Catherine Januzzi, 121597, stated she attempted to separate the parties but was punched in the back a couple of times by the same female who threw the glass at St. Louis. Januzzi stated that St. Louis asked Jacobin to wait outside and Jacobin responded, "Make me." Officer also spoke with Montano, choked her husband and pushed him. Montano stated Wicked Craft employees pushed him out after they had paid their bills. Officers also spoke with the friends of Montano, Anna Sari Trujillo, 5585, and Carell Millon, 2581, who stated that the only reason you started fighting with Wicked Craft employees is they put their hands on her. He also stated that Montano's husband was put on the ground and choked. All parties stated that they would like to press charges against each other. Alpha 910, Sergeant Downey was notified of the incident for a Code 35 inspection.
And I can follow up with a supplemental report.
Thank you.
About 6:45 p.m. on May 11th, 2024, Detective Walsh conducted a licensed premise inspection at Wicked Craft, 52 to 54 Salem Street, Boston's North End neighborhood. Detective Walsh met with the person in charge, Stephen Bassan, about an incident that had occurred on May 10th, about 9:53 p.m. Detective Walsh recorded the necessary license numbers except for the Boston Fire Department permit, which was not present. The violations for the incident were patron on employee assault and battery, patron on employee assault and battery, dangerous weapon, glass, and employee on patron assault and battery. Mr. Basson stated an employee of the restaurant called 911 when the incident occurred. Mr. Basson did send cell phone videos of the aftermath to Detective Walsh via cell phone. Mr. Basson stated he would save and provide a copy of any video of the incident captured by the restaurant's video system. Mr. Basson signed and accepted the violation. Mr. Basson did forward a video from his video system to myself, which I forwarded to Lieutenant Detective Troy. And that's all I have at this time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Bassan, would you like to address the alleged incident?
If I could have the opportunity, yes.
Great. Yes, you may.
So thank you. Just to explain the layout of the restaurant, Eddie, who was assaulted, he's a court officer in Brockton. I've known him for a long time. He works security over at Big Night Live. He's a great person working with guests. He always has a positive attitude, and that's why when we opened the restaurant, I asked him if he'd come be involved in it part-time. And Eddie's job primarily is to ID people. He sometimes helps seat people in the restaurant, and his very important job is also to maintain the capacity. We have a small place. It's a 49-person capacity. in the north end. And so that's a big challenge because we do have a bar as well. And we have a lot of people trying to come in. So, you know, we're constantly redirecting them or telling them to check back in. So Eddie's job is maintaining the capacity as well. This group, they had come in for a birthday party. I believe it was 12 or 14 people. There was no problems. Everything was fine. Everybody had a great time. We always have the servers check in with them. Everybody was in a good mood. Now, when it came time for everybody to leave, there was a group of, you know, 7 or more people gathered right in the entryway. Now, the way the restaurant's laid out is the main entrance. We have a straight shot back to where the restrooms are to the right and where the kitchen is to the left. And so we always maintain that clear. There's a service bar there. There are 2 booths to the left. But the thing about the restaurant here is everybody's primarily seating in order to maintain that capacity. There's not really any standing in the restaurant. So we have servers coming out and people running food coming out from the kitchen. That group was standing there after they had finished dinner. And they were really blocking kind of the only walkway out from the kitchen. And so I had actually asked one of the individuals, do you mind just stepping to the side so that they can get through? I have a very small food runner who's trying to get past, and they just ignored me altogether. So we were busy where we're trying to turn over tables and we're trying to, you know, maintain that walkway. And so I had asked Eddie, I said, hey, do you mind asking them if they don't mind stepping to the side or stepping outside, just so that the food runners can get through? When Eddie approached them, I was also present. And when Eddie approached them, he said, in the statement, he asked, do you mind just waiting outside so that the servers and waitresses can get through? He never said anything about his wife being in the bathroom. He never said anything about, you know, why they were standing there blocking it. He just said, I do mind, you know, I do mind. And what are you going to do about it? Something to that effect. Eddie thought they were joking. He jokes with guests all the time. It's a very positive environment. And so he was kind of taken aback by that statement. So he kind of laughed and he said, all right, well, sir, if you don't mind stepping outside again. That's when the gentleman, he started walking with Eddie, and I guess Eddie was guiding him very lightly, had his hand on like his lower back, walking him out. And the guy was talking to him in kind of an aggressive manner, but he was walking towards the exit. At that point, I suppose it was his wife. I saw her run up from behind Eddie, start punching him in the back. And that's when he turned around. He didn't know who was hitting him, what was going on. He turned around. Once again, restaurant's still very, very crowded. Hard to see what was going on. There were a lot of people standing there, a lot of taller individuals. Turned around as she was hitting him in the back. I saw this individual grab him from behind around his neck, and that's when they went to the ground. Now, at that point, you know, all of our staff kind of moved to intervene, stop what we were doing towards the door. There's a very small entryway in the door, and it's one of the only places that didn't have a direct camera on it. The footage that I sent over is from a back right camera over one of the booths. So you're able to see the initial guiding of the gentleman outside, but I didn't have clear footage of in that entryway. I've since installed a camera there, so I have clear footage of that going forward. But at the time, I did not have that there. It's hard to see anything anyway, because there was a lot of people gathered around Eddie on the ground. I did not see an individual throw a glass, but Eddie said that he felt, you know, something hit him. He has kind of thick hair. He felt something hit him in the back of the head. And later on, we saw that there was a shattered glass right outside of the restaurant. So one of those individuals, we believe it was the gentleman who he was guiding out's wife. She later on admitted, and I do have this on video outside. It's not a video of the glass being thrown, but it is a video of her saying, yes, I threw the glass because he had put his hands on my husband, which wasn't the case. So at that point, we were in the entryway, and we were trying to keep, number one, Eddie safe, trying to stop the disturbance of the restaurant. We had guests dining in the restaurant. This is not a nightclub. This is not even really a bar. It's more of a restaurant lounge where everybody's seated. So this stuff doesn't happen there, and it was very disturbing. So we were trying to get it under control. I stepped outside. There was another gentleman standing over Eddie. I told him to step back, told everybody to step back, and I told my chef to call the police. At that point in time, I started videoing. I have a video on my cell phone, which I have shared with the detective. and it's of them yelling and kind of being aggressive, towards me, being aggressive towards other staff. But as soon as we said we were calling the police, and as soon as they heard the sirens coming, they all started to leave the restaurant. Eddie was on the ground and he had restrained the gentleman who held his hands so that he couldn't hit him or attack him. And as soon as the police started to show up and we saw the sirens, he let him go and everybody stood up. They all started walking away from the restaurant. I'm actually the one who stood on the corner and waved the police towards them as they were trying to leave the scene. That's my experience. After that, the police report takes over.
Thank you, Mr. Bassan. Anything further before we move to the board for questions?
The only thing I would say is that we've been open 2.5 years. It's a really fun and calm environment most of the time. It's a cocktail lounge, and we do turn the music up a little bit after 9 o'clock. But nothing like this has ever happened. It was a totally unreasonable reaction to us asking them to wait outside so that they could clear the space. And Eddie's never had any sort of problem. Like I said, he's a court officer, and he's somebody I've known for a long time. I would never bring him to the restaurant if he was an aggressive person or the type of person who doesn't add a positive component to the restaurant. So just nothing like this has ever happened. We're shocked that it did, and we it's very unfortunate that it escalated like that. And I do believe that we did everything that we could to try and prevent it and get the police there as quickly as possible.
Thank you. Appreciate that. We will see if there are any questions from the board, starting with Chairwoman Joyce.
So we haven't had a chance to review the video. Just want to make sure I'm understanding this correctly based upon the police report in your testimony. So you're testifying that no Wicked Craft employee choked the husband and pushed him. Is that correct?
No, Eddie was the only one who, yeah, that is correct. Yes.
Okay. And then also in the police report, it says that the Wicked Craft employees put their hands on the woman, the wife.
I believe one of my female bartenders stood between her and Eddie because she was continuing to attack, kick, try and hurt him while her husband and him were on the ground. But nobody put their hands on anybody. In fact, she hit me lightly in the chest. It wasn't, I mentioned it to the police, but I wasn't injured at all. So, but she was very aggressive, and the only person that even came into contact with her was to put a hand up and step in between her and Eddie while he was on the ground being attacked.
Okay.
So that was the only contact anyone had.
Okay, I don't have any other questions. Commissioner Curran, do you have any questions, or Commissioner Saxon?
So my understanding is we've received a video, is that correct?
I just received
I
two
said-
additional ones, so I have a total of 3 that I haven't been able to put into the folder yet.
Okay, so we have multiple, we have security and cell phone, is that correct?
It appears upon, again, I just received them, it appears that the video I have is of the security. I haven't been able to look at the 2 other videos that came in. I think they might have been shared on the manager's cell phone, is that correct?
I sent cell phone video to the detective, and that's from the incident outside the aftermath where she's admitting throwing the glass, and you can see kind of the state of everybody being very aggressive. So there should be that video, and there should be the old, before I put in the new security camera, there should be video of the old one of the initial interaction. So it should be at least those 2.
Okay, I just haven't been able to open them yet, because I received them during the hearing.
Okay, but Eddie, in his statement, mentioned that the patron was intoxicated. Clearly, he thought it was significant.
I think he put that in the statement because of the reaction and kind of the lack of rationale behind his reaction, whether he was intoxicated. They were all celebrating a birthday, but nobody was overserved. I think that Eddie said that he appeared to be intoxicated, and that appeared to be a component in his response. I believe that's why he put it in there, because it was so illogical that he responded in that manner. I think that's why he included that in the statement. It did appear that, he had a few drinks, and maybe that was why he was acting, unreasonably.
Okay, do we have any video of when they were at their table being served?
I have video. I don't have video of them at the table being served. I only captured video from the start of the interaction between him and Eddie, and I could provide that video, but I only have 6 days of recording. What I could do, I believe, I could find the bill. I could provide you with the receipt from that day, and I could show all the individuals. I believe everybody there was 21 at the table, so you could see the number of drinks that were on the bill. But I don't have footage of them actually being served at this moment.
Okay, for future reference, I personally would, in an incident like this that's been described in this manner, I think it's very relevant to see the mannerisms of the patrons involved prior to, not just, picking up right at the moment when they're asked to leave. It's the relevant inquiry here is foreseeability, and that what really goes into that is what was happening before this all started. So, I'd like to see that if this ever happens again, hopefully it doesn't, but I would like to see you preserve that type of video as well.
I fully understand that. I will. I'll make sure to.
I think that's all I have. Thank you.
And once again, I apologize. This is the first time anything like this has occurred, so I do apologize. Hopefully it doesn't occur again. But going forward, this has been a learning experience in terms of what to preserve. So I absolutely will make sure to capture and record additional footage if anything ever does.
Commissioner Saxon, any questions?
No additional questions. Thank you.
I actually did have one more thing. Sorry to jump back in. And it's something we've seen in the past too, especially with small restaurants. Can you give me a sense of what was going on here as far as turning over the table? This party had paid, they stood up. Were you trying to get other people to sit down at that table? Was that what was happening here? Because that can be a kind of a pain point in small restaurants. We're trying to rush in the next group while the other party isn't fully out the door.
Of course, that's a great question. And while we did have other reservations that night, people are always, not always, but very often running late due to parking in the north end and just a number of issues. A lot of people coming from outside of the city to visit our restaurant, and they're not familiar with it. So we did have other reservations, but nobody was there at the. I don't even think part of the reservation had been checked in, and they actually finished, I think, early. So there was nobody waiting. There was nobody waiting outside. The primary thing was to make sure that the walkway was open so that servers could get food to the table and people were able to walk to the restroom.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And sorry, just to follow up on the earlier thread, Commissioner Carn, were there existing records or documents that you were requesting from the licensee?
I was more concerned with the security footage. I think that he indicated that it's probably gone now, that he didn't preserve it from back at that date. So I think that's where we're at, right?
Great, that sounds right. In that case, the videos will be forwarded to the board as soon as they are received. With that, the board will take this matter under advisement. Thank you. Calling item number.
Thank you.
Thank you. Calling item number 3, MYN Corp. doing business as Dublin Pub, located at 7 to 9 Stoughton Street in Dorchester. Date of the incident, April 14th, 2024. Assault and battery, patron on employee in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 13A. Assault and battery with a dangerous weapon, mace, employee on patron, ×2, in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 15A, and armed security without board approval in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64. Who's present on behalf of the licensee?
William Gardner, representing the licensee.
Thank you, Attorney Gardner. Is it possible to turn your camera on?
It was on before. Shoot.
It's like something sort of just popped up on your screen. I just asked you to share a video.
What?
The cords.
Let me just try the.
And are your witnesses there with you? They will also be on screen?
Yes, they would be with me on screen. Yes.
Great, then we will definitely need to wait for your camera to be on.
It was on earlier in the hearing. I apologize.
No worries. Could you please identify your witnesses in the meantime while you're working on that? We can also get the.
Yeah, with me is Alina Sara, who is the on-site manager, as well as Hassan Ingram, who is the owner and operator of the security company, the third-party security company. Mr. Ingram was on site on the date of the incident as well.
Thank you, Mr. Ingram from the security company. And sorry, what was the name of the on-site manager?
Ali, A-L-I, Nasreh, N-A-S-R-I-E-H.
Great, thank you. Who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Sergeant Detective Amy DeVito.
Detective Matthew Conley as well.
Thank you all. Attorney Gardner, I see we still have not succeeded in having your camera on.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Maybe if I shut it off and start it again.
Great. In the meantime, Chairwoman Joyce, would you like to proceed with the police report? And maybe by the time that's done, we can have them
Sure.
back on and sworn in. Great. Could Sergeant Detective DeVito and Detective Conley, can you both please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
You.
Thank you. Who will be reading the police report into the record?
Detective Conley can.
Thank you. If you may please proceed.
Okay, this narrative was done by Officer Gale from District B2. About 1:21 a.m. on Sunday, April 14th, 2024, Officer Gales in the Bravo Tango 55 Alpha did on-site a commotion in front of the Dublin House at 7 Stoughton Street, Dorchester. Upon arrival, given the nature of the circumstances, Officer Gales did request additional BTU units to the scene for crowd control, to which an assortment of District B2 units responded to assist. Following Officer Gales making a request for additional units, he did make contact with multiple parties on scene, two of which who stated they were pepper sprayed. They were sprayed in the face with pepper spray. Both parties were identified as Amelie Cabral and Amari Gunn. Both parties stated that they were sprayed on scene by a security guard who worked at the Dublin House, identified as Lillian Jaber, following an altercation. Following Officer Gales making contact with these parties, Officer Gales, along with Officer McPherson in Barrows in the Bravo 101 Alpha, did make contact with the security guard, along with a second security guard identified as Hassan Ingram. Both Ms. Jaber and Mr. Ingram stated that they were attempting to remove both parties, Ms. Cabral and Ms. Gunn, from the establishment, to which they resisted and attempted to fight their way back inside. Mr. Ingram stated that it was at this point that security began to push them back, and Ms. Gunn had started to hit him and Mr. Ingram with closed fists and become more aggressive, which is when Ms. Jaber deployed her OC spray. While on scene, Officer Gales did observe both Ms. Cabral and Ms. Gunn to have sprayed in the face with OC, as their eyes had been red and swollen shut, and Ms. Gunn was unable to open her eyes on scene. It was at this point that Officer Gales requested EMS to the scene, to which Boston EMS Ambulance 11 responded and assessed the victims' injuries. Victims were ultimately transported to Beth Israel Medical Center. Bravo 982 Sergeant Detective DeVito and Bravo 913 Sergeant Durbin notified officers' body cameras were activated. I'm now going to read a narrative which I authored on April 20th, 2024. On April 20th, 2024, Detective M. Conley, Bravo 832, and Sergeant Detective DeVito, Bravo 982, responded to the Dublin House for a follow-up to the aforementioned incident. Detectives met with manager-owner Ali Narish, who brought them to the basement to review surveillance footage. Detectives were unable to review footage from the April 14th, 2024 incident. On Saturday, April 27th, 2024, Detective M. Conley contacted the victim, Ms. Amelie Cabral, via telephone regarding the pepper spraying that occurred at the Dublin House around 1:40 a.m. on April 14th, 2024. Ms. Cabral stated that she was at the Dublin House with her two friends, including Ms. Amari Gunn. Amari's boyfriend works security at the establishment. Around 2 a.m., Cabral was leaving the establishment with her friend Nate. Amari was staying at the Dublin house with her boyfriend. As Ms. Cabral exited the building and was outside, she heard a commotion and screaming and saw pushing. Ms. Cabral recognized the screams to be her friend Amari, who she had just left seconds earlier. When Cabral re-entered the Dublin house, she observed people pushing her friend, Amari, and she went to assist her friend when she felt like she went blind, followed by severe burning. Detective Conley attempted to contact additional victim, Ms. Amari Gunn, multiple times, but was unsuccessful. On May 8th, 2024, Detective Conley was contacted by Ms. Lillian Jaber via telephone. Ms. Jaber stated that she worked as a security guard at a company, Protect the People, a company which was contracted to provide security at the Dublin house. Ms. Jaber stated around closing time in the early morning hours of April 14th, 2024, herself and other staff members were clearing patrons out of the establishment. Ms. Jaber stated that a black female, possibly wearing pink, thick build, 5'6", approximately 220 pounds, with caramel skin complexion, attacked her boss. Ms. Jaber stated that this female was striking her boss Hassan in the face. She describes the actions as pushing, shoving, trying to get in his face. Ms. Jaber and other security members were successful in pushing this female off Hassan. Then they pushed her out of the establishment to the sidewalk that abuts Stoughton Street. Once outside, as the door nearly shut, the female grabbed the door, preventing it from closing, and charged to get back into the establishment. To de-escalate and prevent another attack, Ms. Jaber sprayed this unknown black female in the eyes. Ms. Jaber described the pepper spraying as being in the doorway whilst Jaber was still inside the establishment. All parties are being requested to Dorchester District Court for a clerk magistrate hearing. I should say that hearing was held a few weeks ago. Ms. Jaber, who was a security guard that deployed pepper spray, was present. Both victims were not.
Thank you very
I
much.
apologize. And it doesn't look like the camera must have. I'm getting a message that the camera may have some problems.
Okay, Chairman Joyce, will you accept these two witnesses to affirm that they are raising their right hand when asked to do so, or?
I mean, it's hard to, I don't know what to say about that. You can't get the camera to work at all?
Chairwoman, I'm getting a message saying that there could be a problem with the camera. It was working when the hearing first started. I don't know what happened.
Are you on a computer or a telephone?
We're on computer.
Do you have a cell phone that you could use?
Sure.
Link
Yes.
to connect back in via video? In the meantime, I think.
That's fine. Let me try that.
Thank you. And in the meantime, I just want to make sure that we also got into the record Sergeant Detective DeVito's report about the camera system. Apologies if that was already written to the record.
So there was my report was essentially the same facts that have already been entered. The only additional information was, I think, the fact that we returned on May 2nd, because on the first time we went on April 20th, and we spoke to Allie, and he was very cooperative. He began to show us the video. However, the video wasn't working at the time. So I gave him an opportunity to try to work on the system to get it to work. When we responded back on May 6th, he had been unable to get that system to work despite his best efforts. But he had at that point installed a completely new video system. And I know that Detective Conley was more familiar with that. I think he saw it on another thing. So he did overcome the issues that he had with the video system, installed a new video system, and installed additional cameras in areas in the area that this incident took place, in the vestibule and in other areas where we would traditionally need the video outside. So he did add additional cameras that he did not have before. so that we would have that for next time.
Thank you very much.
don't-
Appreciate that. And Attorney Gardner, thank you. We do see you on camera now. And you can please introduce your two witnesses and have them raise their right hand.
Ali Nassari on the left, on your right, on the left, right next to me is Mr. Ingram, Hassan Ingram.
Thank you, Mr. Nasri and Mr. Ingram. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do, yes.
Thank you very much. Attorney Gardner, would you like to address the alleged incident?
I would. Can you hear me okay? It's not as clear as it was on the other screen.
We can hear
You
you just
can.
fine.
Okay. On the night of this incident, Mr. Hassan was speaking with his longtime friend, who was the boyfriend of the victim, Miss Gunn, in this case. Ms. Gunn and Mr. Hassan have had a problem with each other. Well, she has a problem with him over the years. He's close with the boyfriend. Mr. Hassan and the boyfriend were discussing where to go after they closed up. This was at closing time. Unprovoked, Ms. Gunn attacked Mr. Hassan, started pulling on his beard. This was inside the premises. The boyfriend intervened and fortunately was able to escort her to the, was able, I don't know if you can see me. There you go. Okay, I lost you there. Was able to the boyfriend intervened, was able to escort the girlfriend to the door. She was out there and attempted to come back in. When she did, she attempted, as Miss Jabba said to the police officers, attempted to attack Mr. Hassan again. Miss Jabber intervened, unbeknownst to the management of the Dublin House as well as the security company. She had mace. She wasn't authorized. It wasn't part of the policies for either the security company or for the Dublin House. And she did, after she was attacked by Ms. Gunn, Ms. Jabber pepper sprayed her, is what happened at that point in time. The license inspection notice, I will note, and that Sergeant Detective Vito wrote up, indicated the police were called, and they were, and also indicates that owner management was cooperative with the police during this incident. That's what happened. We were unaware that she had mace on her, and the attack was instigated by Ms. Gunn in unprovoked manner. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anything further that you or your witnesses would like to provide to the board before we move to questions?
I think Mr. Hassan may want to indicate in his own words what happened.
Basically what they're saying is facts. It was unprovoked. We was doing our job clearing out. As you stated, the boyfriend is, me and him are friends, like since I've been here in Mass. But I was speaking with him, ignoring her because history, she don't like me, so there's no reason for you to say anything to me. Ignored her. She attacked me. Boyfriend helped get her out. She did try to come back into the establishment after she was out, and ended up being pepper sprayed.
That's essentially what happened.
Thank you. We will turn to the board to see if there are any questions. Chairwoman Joyce.
Thanks, Danny. What is the name of the third-party security company that you hire?
It's protect the people, as indicated in the police.
Okay. So one of the issues I have today is that you were before us in March and we asked for you to submit a security plan. You submitted a security plan. We asked you to revise it to include a policy around video retention, staff training, conflict resolution, de-escalation, and oversight of third-party security contractors. We never received that. We also haven't received an updated manager record. So I'm going to request again for you to update the security plan to include oversight of third-party security, which is one of the issues today. We don't know from the board perspective what your policy is on armed security or pepper spray. We don't know what this third-party security company's policy is either. So please submit that to us. That was on March 7th when you had a hearing and we requested, there was a one-day suspension held in abeyance until August 31st. So I really encourage you to get us that information as soon as possible.
That's on me, Madam Chairman. I thought I had submitted it. I had the discussions. I made the revisions. I'll send it to you. I can tell you, though, in the prior security plan, we did not address armed security people. We have
Right.
since
So
done.
that's why I asked you, that's why we asked you to revise it.
Right. And I'll revise it further and put it in and have that included as well. We've been utilizing that online. As far as the camera goes, I think we were last with you at the end of March, and I think we indicated that we were in the process of converting the security system because the security retention that we had was insufficient. The plan we submitted to you folks was, I think we had 30 days, but we had agreed in our hearing to 60 days. Ali has since, and it wasn't until after this incident, has since implemented a whole new security system, which has unlimited record retention. We have in our policy 60 days, but our security company tells us that it could be up to a year that they can retain that. That's what's been in place since at least May.
Thank you. I don't have any other questions. Commissioner Sacks or Commissioner Curran?
I just need more details on the what was going on with the video, because it didn't seem to be a days of retention thing. It just seemed like your video system wasn't working at all.
It had been broken for a while. There was some sort of electrical problem. They had somebody come in and fix it. And I think we did address this in March, and we indicated that was the case. It didn't get fixed until after the date of this incident. It probably wasn't until early May that the new system was installed. The system that's in there now is brand new and pretty much brand new, and it has retention capacity.
All right. Can I stop you there?
Sure.
That was my recollection that it had been broken even the last time.
Right.
And I could go back, but I mean, I'll ask you, what's your recollection? Did we talk about a timeline of having it fixed when we were last discussing it?
We did not. In fairness, I think you took us at our word that we were in the process of doing it. We did not discuss a time frame.
And so how far was it? About 2 months that in between our last hearing?
The end of March, this happened the beginning of April 14th. It was a couple of weeks. There wasn't a significant, at the time we were last before you, we were in the process of retaining, there was a supply issue. We couldn't get the equipment from the vendor, and the vendor wasn't able to get it into the premises until at least the end of April.
It's a whole new system.
Yeah, because it was a whole new system. He couldn't get it in till, at least my memory was the end of April, because I went over and looked at it to make sure. There was additional cameras, I believe. Chairman Joyce was asking, about the location of the cameras, and I think we had additional cameras because on the last incident we had, there were some blind spots on the cameras. So we think we cured that.
Have cameras in every corner.
There's cameras in every corner now where there weren't previously.
Inside, everywhere.
Okay, that does make sense to me. I'm looking at the dates of the first hearing, the informational hearing. My recollection of, what you guys were saying about what your efforts were. But yeah, can you speak to specifically, so the employee who deployed the pepper spray, were they a direct employee or an employee of this third-party company?
An employee of the third-party company. And Mr. Hassan, who's there, terminated her a couple of days later.
Okay, and was that because that person had been specifically trained that they cannot be armed?
That was one factor. She had other performance issues, attendance issues, but the fact that she didn't disclose that she had the mace was a problem.
Yeah, but can you speak to specifically that this person prior to was informed that they could not be armed during
So,
work?
how you doing? So yes, so with any establishment or anything we get booked or contracted for, we ask them, do they want armed or unarmed guards? With the Dublin House, they want it unarmed, so we tell all our guys with license, no, they want unarmed, so they'll bring no mace, no firearms, and that's just what it's supposed to be. We let them all know that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Nothing additional. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please do provide the updated security and operations plan as requested by the chair. And with that, the board will take this matter under advisement.
Thank you very much. Sorry for the glitch.
Thank you. Calling item number 4, FSW LLC, doing business as Clock Tavern, located at 342 West Broadway in South Boston. Date of the incident, May 2nd, 2024. Overcrowding, 104 mechanical count, capacity 90. In violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Board's Rule 1.03J and 1.06A and F. Who is present on behalf of the licensee? Is anybody with us on behalf of Clock Tavern? We will take a second call. Calling item number 5, Hampshire House Corporation, doing business as 75 on Liberty Wharf, located at 220 Northern Ave, dated the incident May 6th, 2024. Patrons drinking alcohol on public way in violation of Mass General Law, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Board's Rule 1.09D. Who's present on behalf of the licensee?
My name is Michael Hughes. I'm the general manager of 75 on Liberty Wharf.
Thank you, Mr. Hughes. Who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Sergeant Detective William Gallagher.
Thank you. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify this morning?
Detective Hernandez is needed.
Thank you. Can you all please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Thank you. Sergeant Detective Gallagher, if you could please proceed with the police report for the board.
Yes, good morning. On 5/6/2024, 10:12 p.m., Sergeant Detective William Gallagher, Detective Hernandez, assigned to licensed premise unit were in the bars and restaurants on Liberty Wharf when they observed the male drinking beer from a Pilsner glass on the harbor walk by the water. Detectives approached the male, identified themselves as BPD, informed him there was no public drinking in Boston. He would have to return to the restaurant where he came from. The male stated that he came from 75 on Liberty. Detective escorted the male back to where he was sitting. Once back at 75 on Liberty, detectives sought out the manager, Mr. Frank Conway, and informed him of what they observed. Mr. Conway stated that he would speak to staff regarding the incident. As a result of what was observed, Sergeant Gallagher issued a license premise violation notice number 018-018-75 on Liberty for drinking alcohol in public way. Mr. Conway signed the notice. That's what I got.
Thank you very much. Mr. Hughes, would you like to address the alleged incident?
Yes, Frank Conway is on the call as well. But what we have done since that incident is we've trained the staff. We've talked to all the staff just about awareness. We have beefed up our hosts. So we had one host at the beginning. Now we have 2 hosts going forward on busier nights. We also added more management. So on the busier nights, Friday, Saturday, Sundays, we have swing managers. So we have 2 managers on. And we've spoken with all the staff, the servers, bartenders, hosts, and food runners, just to be more aware and keep an eye out. The other thing we did is we had a couple signs posted, but we made larger signs saying no alcohol beyond this point on the host stand. And there are ropes that rope off the patio, and they're on every rope as well. And we haven't had any incidents since that time.
Thank you very much. We'll see if there are any questions from the board, starting with Chairwoman Joyce.
My only question is, do you know what happened with this particular person? Did anyone see him leave?
It's Frank, are you here? I was not there that evening. I mean, from my understanding, he wasn't that far. He was right off, kind of down by the water, and he just returned. So I think he was, from out of town. But
if I may, can you hear me?
Sorry,
Hello?
we can hear you. Could you please identify yourself? We need to swear you in if you're going to provide testimony.
Sorry, I'm Marcus Ripperger. I got bounced off. I was there. I'm the president of the company that runs 75 on Liberty Wharf.
Thank you, Mr. Ripperger. Hang on just a moment. I'm going to ask you to start your video so that we can see you raise your right hand and swear you in so that you can provide your testimony under oath to the board. Thank you very much. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you, Mr. Ripperger. You may please proceed with your testimony.
Thank you. Sorry for being bounced off earlier. As I recollect, I wasn't there that night, but Frank Conway reported that it was an international guest and he wanted to go out to see the closer to the harbor. And he just kind of slipped past us. And as Mike Hughes indicated, we upped our staffing, we retrained our staffing, and signs are all down the ropes along the patio and including a very big sign at the host stand. So this occurrence wouldn't happen again.
Thank you for that. Chairman Joyce, did you have any further questions?
Thank you. I have no other questions.
Commissioner Curran or Commissioner Saxon?
No questions. Thank you.
None for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The board will take this matter under advisement as well.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Calling item number 6, MWGW Carver Grand Lodge, Inc., located at 70 to 80 Talbot Ave in Dorchester. Date of the incident, June 1st, 2024. Service of alcohol beyond licensed premise in the parking lot in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Board's Rule 1.09D. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Ronald Cook and Glenn Williams.
Great, thank you very much. I see Mr. Cook and Mr. Williams. Who's present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
I am Detective Hernandez.
Thank you. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify this morning?
Sergeant Detective William Gallagher, if need be.
Thank you. Can you all please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do. I do.
Thank you. Detective Hernandez, if you could please read the police report into the record for the board.
Good morning. I'm reading from a police report, which I wrote on Saturday, June 1st, 2024. Sergeant Detective William Gallagher and Detective Eddie Hernandez, assigned to the BPD licensed premise unit, conducted a licensed premise inspection of the Russell Auditorium. While walking into the establishment, detectives observed multiple patrons walking out of the hall with what appeared to be mixed drinks onto the premises parking lot. On reviewing the licenses, permits, the establishment, detectives noticed the establishment's conviction license does not allow for service of alcohol beyond the premise. Detectives advised the staff that they cannot allow alcohol outside of the establishment and brought this to the attention of the person in charge, Mr. Claude Nesbitt. As a result of what detectives observed, Sergeant Detective Gallagher issued license premise inspection notice 021937 for service of alcohol beyond licensed premise into the parking lot. Mr. Nesbitt signed for an accepted notice. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Cook and Mr. Williams. Would you like to address the alleged incident?
Mr. Cook. Okay. The incident they're talking about was a ticketed event given by Suave, our community heritage organization called Red House Entertainment. And all of the parking lot was closed in, and there was securities letting ticketed people in the venue. All right. There was no liquor sold in the parking lot. The liquor was sold inside the premises that's licensed for 780 Talbot Avenue. Some people did walk out into the parking lot with the drinks in their hand. When we caught them, we tried to get them back inside. But at the same time, the parking lot was the fence was covered. You couldn't see in from the street. And all the people that came in through a gate where security checked them to make sure they didn't have anything, any weapons, any alcohol or anything. And they stayed on the premises, you know? So actually, we thought the parking lot was being closed in like that was part of the premises. So there might be a little ignorance on our part, but we do this event every year. And in the past, people were bringing their liquor and we stopped it. And at this particular time, we had security check them at the gate. And once they got in the venue, if they didn't pay to get in, they couldn't even see in from outside, you know, so it was closed in. And my only thing is that we thought was within the guidelines. Okay.
Thank you. We'll turn over to the board to see if there are any questions. Chairwoman Joyce.
So just a few things. I also issue the 1-day alcohol and the 1-day entertainment licenses. This was a special event, and per BPD, the special event and entertainment licenses specifically prohibited alcohol in the parking lot. Unfortunately, I don't have that in front of me, but I will ask staff to share it. But you could have applied for an extension to cover the parking lot. So it's not enough that alcohol is only served inside. If someone's going to carry a cup outside and the police report says dozens of people were in the parking lot, you should go and extend your premise to cover the parking lot. We wouldn't be here today if you had applied for an extension of premise. We also asked you in June to submit a dispersal plan specifically regarding the controlled area outside the licensed premise, and we have not received that yet. So do you understand the special event application process?
Not to that extent, no. But Ms. Cassandra Mayhew, who works with the Red House Entertainment for Suave, did all the applying for the permits and licenses at the police department and at City Hall. And she assured us that she had the permits that she needed. Now, there must have been a lapse of communication between her.
Who is Sean Cedino?
Hi, can you guys hear me?
We'll have to swear you in.
We can. Is this Ms. Mayhew?
Okay. Yes, it is.
Thank you. I'm going to ask you to turn your camera on.
I'm not able to because I'm at work right now and I'm also in another meeting at my job. But I wanted to.
Hang on just a moment.
Okay.
Chairman Joyce, will you accept Ms. Mayhew's
Yeah,
testimony?
we can accept her without camera because I do want to explain this to them so that they do it right next year.
Thank you, Ms. Mayhew. Please raise your right hand and please verbally affirm to the board that you're raising your right hand.
Yes, I am. I'm affirming that I'm raising my right hand.
Thank you. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Ms. Mayhew, you may
You're
continue with your testimony.
Yes. Hello, everyone. He is correct. I did go ahead and apply for the permits. However, the police department, when I spoke to Captain Flynn, that was one of the requirements that us as the entertainment group not apply for that specific permit where they had a 1-day entertainment license. I mean, liquor license to sell any liquor. However, that did not include people bringing liquor in or whatever, because we tried, as he stated, we tried to stop everyone that was doing any of the sort. We tried to stop them from taking it out, but it was so many people, we could have controlled only what we can control. We did have sufficient security there. We did give a security plan to Captain Flynn at the time when the event was going on. So he did have all of this information on behalf of Red House Entertainment as well as behalf of Carver Den, because I provided him with this information. I was told not to get the liquor license in order for the event to go on.
Okay,
so
then,
it was
okay,
not
that's
applied.
fine. That's fine. If you were told not to get the liquor license, then you shouldn't have had alcohol in the parking lot. And if that meant you didn't have enough people preventing people to walk outside, then you did not have sufficient security. So I am looking at the 1-day entertainment license in front of me. Who is Sean Cedeno?
He's one of the owners.
One of the owners? Okay.
Yeah.
Number 3 says no bottles, containers, or alcohol permitted in the Russell event lot. So do you have a team meeting before this and go over what is allowed and what is not allowed? Because my name is on this 1-time entertainment license that says you can't have alcohol in the lot. And it's not enough. It's not a defense that you didn't have enough people to prevent them from going out. You did the best you can. Doing the best you can is not enough.
Okay, so it's not that we didn't have enough people. Again, it was being sold within Carver Den and people was walking out with it. We had control of the parking lot, and as well as we did not permit anyone to come in with any of the sorts. We had sufficient police that was
okay, but it
located
says
there. We had
no containers, no bottles, no alcohol permitted
Correct, we
in the
didn't have
event
any of
lot.
that.
It has nothing, I just want to make sure you understand, it's nothing to do about where it's sold. It has to do with where people are walking around, just so we're clear for next year.
Okay. I understand. Yes, I understand. But again, there wasn't no one bringing in no bottles, no containers, no nothing was there. Nothing.
Okay, and I would like to see a copy of that security plan that you
Okay,
submitted to the
no
police,
problem.
so I can evaluate
Absolutely.
whether it was sufficient security as well and talk to the police captain.
Okay. No problem.
I'm
If
just not
I can
convinced you
get a-
understand that the fact that you are only selling alcohol inside, that does not permit you to allow people to walk outside with it.
Okay, so Red House Entertainment was not selling any type of alcohol.
Okay, well, whoever the owner is, it's not about, it's not about who sold it, who was doing the entertainment, who applied for the license. At the end of the day, Sean Sedano, or the owner of this establishment, is responsible for where alcohol is sold and consumed. It cannot be consumed in the parking lot unless you apply for an extension of premise. It seems like the captain suggested you didn't apply for the extension of premise, so there shouldn't have been alcohol outside. So it's not a question of like, oh, we didn't permit it, but they did. It's not a finger pointing thing.
Right,
Shouldn't have
and I
alcohol in
would
the parking lot.
Correct. And I understand very clearly, and we do apologize. I
Okay,
did not know.
sure, I
Go ahead.
appreciate the apology, but this is a very serious thing, and their annual liquor license is on the line here. It's not a question of the entertainment people didn't know about it. That's all I have to say. I don't know how much clearer I can be. But there is a breakdown in communication with this event, and so you need to do better next year, all of you.
We will.
Understand. We definitely
If you have any questions, again, I'm Kathleen Joyce. I oversee your annual liquor license. I also oversee your one-day entertainment license and your annual entertainment license. So should you have any questions, give me a call.
Okay, we'll talk about the license for the extended, for the parking lot. What was that, a outside venue thing?
No, you have a liquor license that's inside. For one day, you can extend your premise to cover the parking lot, but it appears the captain did not support that, so it wouldn't happen.
Oh, okay, all
You
right.
can't just say the captain didn't allow us to, but we did it anyways. You can't
No,
say,
right,
oh,
yeah.
the entertainment company, didn't allow that. At the end of the day, whoever the manager of record is, which I can't see in front of me, for the Russell Auditorium, their license, this license is on the line, so you're responsible for whoever is holding an event at your place. I don't care if you can't see in, I don't care, if the crowd was too big, then you need better crowd control.
Okay. All right, we'll see that we have the proper permits when we do it again. And now we have a better understanding. I promise you it won't happen again.
Okay, and I'm here to help you, so please reach out to my staff or to me personally, and we can walk through this.
We will do that. Thank you.
Again, Ms. Joyce, I do apologize greatly. It was something that was dumbfounded on my behalf of not inquiring further assistance or even, asking any questions to get this rectified. So I do apologize greatly.
I'm gonna let Commissioner Curran and Commissioner Saxon ask any questions, should they have any about this incident.
My question would be that you've applied for extension of premises in the past, correct?
I don't know. As far as I know, we haven't. We didn't even know that it was necessary. But in the past,
You've never
No,
had an event
no.
where your premises has been extended to the outside?
no,
Okay.
no, not. We did not apply for one, and we did not know that we needed one. We thought we was covered, especially where we blocked in the parking lot. But we understand now that that's not so. So in the future, we will do this, the right way.
Okay, thank you.
Nothing to add. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mayhew. The chair did ask for you to submit the security plan that you had discussed with the police captain. Please do submit that to the board. That's licensingboard@boston.gov. And to the licensees, Mr. Williams and Mr. Cook, please do send in the dispersal plan that the board had asked for at our last hearing in June.
Yes. Okay.
All right, who is Edward Brinson Senior?
He's a past manager of George Washington Carver.
Is he no longer with?
No, he's not.
Okay,
And we're supposed to be updating that too. We found out that was still on. We made a couple attempts to change it, and it still came back with the old names on it. So we're gonna make another attempt to try to get that update.
so you need
With,
an application and we hold a hearing. So, and that would make it.
Okay.
So that's a hearing.
Well, yeah, Mr. Glenn Williams will be handling that.
Yes, I handled the license last year. I did address that issue, put my name on the license, and it still came back with Edward Bresson name on it.
Yeah, you need, I don't know what you think you did, but you need to put in an application for an official change of manager with our board. And then
Okay.
put that application and we hold a hearing.
Okay,
Hearing.
okay.
Okay, so you gotta do it like right away.
Right away.
ASAP.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Williams, you can call our office or email us and we can walk you through the process of how to change the manager of your license.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Thank you. If there are no further questions, the board will take this under advisement as well.
All
I
right,
actually
thank you.
had a question. I do apologize, Mr. Daly. Can you please give me that email address again, please?
Yeah, it's just licensing board, all one word, licensing board at boston.gov.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
I do have a letter from Senator Liz Miranda's office. If you'd like me to read it or send it in to you.
You can send it in to us. It's fine.
Okay.
I'll include it with the plan. Is that okay?
That is fine.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you all. The board will take this under advisement.
Thank you.
Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
Thank you. Calling item number 7, Lower Mills Tavern, Inc., doing business as Lower Mills Tavern, located at 2269 Dorchester Ave in Dorchester. Date of the incident, June 1st, 2024. Service of alcohol to a person under 21 years of age. In violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 34 to 34A, 41, 64 to 64A, and failure to ID in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64. Who's present on behalf of the licensee?
Good morning, Attorney Green, Dennis Quilty, attorney representing the licensee. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. And with me this morning is Brian O'Donnell, owner and manager of record. Good morning.
Morning, thank you. Who's present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
I am Detective Hernandez.
Thank you. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify this morning?
Sergeant Detective William Gallagher, if need be.
Thank you very much. Can you all please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Thank you. Detective Hernandez, if you could please read the police report into the record for the board.
Good morning. I'm reading from the police report, which I wrote on Saturday, June 1st, 2024. Sergeant Detective William Gallagher and Detective Eddie Hernandez signed to the BP license premise unit, conducted a license premise inspection of the Lower Mills Tavern. As detectives were walking through the establishment, they observed 2 young-looking patrons drinking alcoholic beverages. Detectives asked them to produce identification and confirm their ages. One patron immediately stated that she was over 21 years of age and produced a valid driver's license. The second patron, later identified as Parker Donahue, did not possess a license and provided detectives with his driver's license information. Detectives were able to confirm that the patron was under 21 years of age. It should be noted that both patrons stated that no staff member asked them for identification. Detectives brought this to the attention of the person in charge, Ms. Chloe McMahon. Ms. McMahon was unable to confirm that the patrons were not asked for any identification. Mr. Donahue was summoned to court for person under 21 possession of alcohol. As a result of what detectives discovered, Sergeant Detective Gallagher issued license premise inspection notice 021939 for service of alcohol to persons under 21 years of age and failure to check ID prior to service of alcohol. Ms. McMahon signed for an accepted notice. That's all.
Thank you very much. Attorney Quilty, would you like to address the alleged incident?
Just briefly, if I may, Sergeant Detective, did the management cooperate with you?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
And with Miss McMahon, was she like an assistant manager who was on duty? Do you know what her role was?
She was the person in charge. That's who identified
Okay,
as the person in charge. I don't know what her specific title is.
okay, but she's not the person who served the table.
No, there was a server. There was
Right.
actually.
Okay. And would you recognize the name of that person? I have a Jamie Donahue. Does that sound right?
For what, sir?
As the server.
I don't know the server's name, sir. I
Okay.
wouldn't know.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Detective.
You're welcome, sir.
Yes, sir. Madam Chair and board members, Mr. O'Donnell's here. The server, Jamie Donahue, is at a medical appointment which she could not cancel to be here this morning. She is the person who provided the service. Mr. O'Donnell will describe her as a longtime, since they opened, longtime employee who is superb at what she does and made a mistake. There's an internal, if you will, email that she sent to Mr. O'Donnell after the fact, and in her absence, I would ask Mr. O'Donnell to just read the basics of it to explain from her point of view what occurred.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we're not disputing any of the report from the sergeant detective or the detective. The email from the server, Jamie Donahue, states, I wanted to reach out regarding this incident on June 1st at Lone Mills Tavern. Having been a long-time employee at the establishment since 2016, my lack of judgment came into play when I wanted to explain myself. It was a busy Saturday getting settled into dinner service. The table I served sat at, and I recognized the couple. The female I had ID'd before, having carded her recently in the past, and the man accompanying her seemed older. I served them both without checking IDs, and it was a total lack of judgment. It should never have happened. I apologize for misjudging the situation. She did recognize the female as a prior patron that was 21. The male who was with the person this visit was 6 weeks prior to turning 21, so under 21. We regrouped with the staff, made sure everyone was aware of the seriousness of this, and I can really no excuse for it. And hopefully our historical non-issues of any issues at Lower Mills Tavern in the last 8 years, no violations. Hopefully that will come into play.
And you did retrain and issue new ID, updated ID books, and retrain the staff.
Yeah, we ordered new ID books and reviewed everything with the bartenders and servers there. It's a very small staff, so it was easy to get everyone regrouped, and I'm confident it won't happen again.
All right, thank you, sir. And I just would like to reiterate, Madam Chair, that they've been in business for I think it's almost 8 years or 8 years. And to our knowledge, there are no violations. There may be an early violation, but they have no history of, allowing underage persons. It's not a club. It's a restaurant, well-respected in the neighborhood, management well-respected. They have no issues to speak of, and certainly this will not happen again.
Thank you. I have no questions. Commissioner Curran, Commissioner Saxon.
No questions. Thank you.
Nothing further. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The board will take this under advisement as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Calling item number 8, ZAA KFL LLC, doing business as Billaris Columbia, located at 28 Bennington Street in East Boston. Date of the incident, May 2nd, 2024. Bottle service violation, patrons pouring alcohol from bottle, and employees drinking while on duty in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Good morning, Attorney Green, Madam Chair, members of the board, Attorney Tyler Hensler from Upton, Canal, and Devlin for the licensee. And joining me virtually is owner and manager Laura Perianes.
Thank you very much. Who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Sergeant Detective William Gallagher.
Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify this morning?
Detective Hernandez if needed.
Thank you. Can you all please raise your right hand? Ms. Paran is your right hand.
La mano derecha no.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Yes, we do.
I do.
Thank you very much. Sergeant Detective Gallagher, if you could please proceed with the police report.
Yes, good morning. On 5/2/2024, at about 11 p.m., Sergeant Detective William Gallagher, Detective Eddie Hernandez, assigned to the BPD Licensed Premise Unit, conducted a licensed premise inspection of Bilarius Columbia at 28 Bennington Street. As the detectives walked inside the premise, they observed a woman server pass a container, a full bottle of aguardiente liqueur, who in turn poured it himself a drink. The same server then was observed drinking a shot of alcohol with his patron. Detectives immediately pointed this out to the manager. As detectives continued their inspection, they observed every table they have an unattended carafe of liqueur, which detectives learned to be aguardiente. This was also pointed out to the manager, Mr. John Alvarez. As a result, detectives had observed Sergeant Gallagher issue a licensed premise inspection notice number 018023 to Bilarius Columbia for bottle service violation, customers pouring their own alcoholic drink, employees drinking alcohol on duty. Mr. John Alvarez signed for and accepted the notice. Prior to the detectives leaving, the owner, Mr. Perenez, arrived on scene to talk to detectives about the incident. Mr. Perenez stated that the server was new and that he would take corrective action. That's one of the facts. I do have a picture, black and white, of a carafe, unattended carafe with ice, with aguardiente. This was taken from one of the tables and there was no serving there.
Thank you very much. Attorney Hensler, would you like to address the alleged incident?
Yes, just one question for Detective Gallagher. On the night of May 12th, 2024, was the licensee cooperative?
Yes, sir, they were.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Attorney Hensler, anything further for the board?
So, first of all, I'd like to thank the board for being so accommodating and rescheduling us from a previous hearing. As the detective said, on May 12th, 2024, unfortunately, there was a server who left a bottle of aguardiente, a popular liqueur, at a table and allowed a customer to pour his own glass. This woman, the server, was also seen taking a drink from the same bottle. This was the server's first day or first shift. I believe her name was Sandra. If this was just a bottle service violation, if she served the bottle and allowed the person to then serve themselves, we might have just used this as a learning opportunity, a teachable moment, and continued with her training. But she apparently drank alcohol on the job as well. Therefore, she was immediately fired. As the board is aware, ZAAKFL LLC is licensed with the city for bottle service. We've never had a violation or a problem with it before. This is the first time it's come up. Bottle service, specifically with aguardiente, is very popular in the Colombian culture. This being a Colombian restaurant and with aguardiente service being deeply ingrained in the culture that comes with that, some patrons who might be well acquainted with the custom get comfortable and they take liberties that might be allowed elsewhere but are not allowed on a licensed premise in Boston. In this case, the patron was allowed to serve himself from his bottle that he got through the bottle service. Obviously, this is not allowed. To make sure it does not happen again, the licensee has retrained staff and is assuring the board this morning that they will rigorously train any new staff before they are allowed to serve bottle service to customers. I'll add that this licensee does not have any previous violations with the city or with the ABCC. We respectfully ask that the board take into consideration the fact that this is the first potential bottle service violation the licensee has had, and that the licensee took the remedial action of immediately terminating the server and voting on this violation. With that, we thank you for your time.
Thank you. We'll see if there are any questions from the board. Chairwoman Joyce.
So how long did this employee work for you?
This was her first day.
It was her first day. Good morning.
Hi,
Sorry.
morning.
I'm sorry.
Okay, this was the employee's first day. She served the patrons and took a shot herself. You
Yes.
fired her, retrained staff, told them it can't happen again.
La despidió y ya le hice todos los
Pero yo le
trabajos.
expliqué a ella que tenía que que no podía dejar la botella sin ella servirla.
I did explain to her and I have told my staff that they cannot have anybody touch the bottle unless it's done.
All right. I'm just concerned that you and your staff don't understand the rules around bottle service. I believe you were written up again over the weekend. We don't have to talk about that today, but I really want to make sure. I wanted a little more information about your staff. How long have most of them worked for you? What do you do for training? Because your attorney just stated on the record that you retrain the staff and explain to them that this is not acceptable. But it seems like it is acceptable.
Ella dice que tiene que entrenarla mejor y porque eso no puede estar yendo pagando porque esa demanda también volvió a pagar. Dígale que van a hacer las cosas de ti,
Sí, la próxima semana vamos a hacer la, ¿cómo se llama eso?
Next week we'll be doing we have a meeting to we have a girl coming down to do all the staff to retrain all the staff with the bottle service and also the drinking with everything brand new. And we'll be, if I can send a meeting to you guys after we have it so you guys know that we did do it.
Okay, do you have any written policies for your staff? Like, do you have an employee handbook that talks about this? Because we have a lot of information on our website. We actually issued an advisory on bottle service, so we could have it translated or you could translate it, but we have the information available for you.
Ellos tienen toda la información del bottle service en la página de ellos para que la baje y la haga. We will do it. We will bring it down and get our staff up to date.
Okay, so after this May incident, did you talk to your staff?
Yes.
All your staff?
Con todos. Yes.
And so, all right, I don't have any other questions. Commissioner Curran or Commissioner Saxon?
I have no questions. I mean, this incident is what it is, so I have no further questions. No questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Saxon, anything from you? Any questions?
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. With that,
Thank you very much.
Yep, the board will jump into revisement. Thank
Have an
you.
excellent day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Calling item number 9, Causeway Union LLC, located at 17 Union Street. Date of the incident is June 13th, 2024. Assault and battery on premise in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 13A. Who's present on behalf of the licensee?
Good morning, Carolyn Conway, 350 West Broadway, on behalf of the licensee, and I have with me today Mr. Raji Pine and also Ms. Raina Tessier as witnesses. They were the people involved in the incident.
Thank you. I see both Mr. Pine and Ms. Tessier on my screen. Thank you. Who's present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Detective Hernandez and Sergeant Gallagher. I can read it if Detective Hernandez is not.
Sorry, Detective Hernandez, I apologize.
Thank you very much. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify? Can you all please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Thank you, Detective Hernandez. If you could please proceed with the police report for the board.
Good morning, sir. I'm going to be reading from a police report, which I wrote on Thursday, June 13, 2024. Sergeant Detective William Gallagher and Detective Eddie Hernandez assigned to the BPD license representative, along with Sergeant Detective Nancy Salucci of the Domestic Violence Unit, responded to Loyal 9. Detectives were there to speak to staff regarding a prior assault and battery incident. Detectives had received a video that appeared to show the manager, Mr. Raji Pine, fighting and choking a female in an office. The video appeared to be filmed in what looked like a basement office. Detectives spoke to the person in charge, Mr. Chris Martinez, who confirmed that he was aware of the incident. Mr. Martinez informed the detectives establishment did not have video cameras. While conducting license premise inspection of the establishment, detectives observed a lower basement office that appeared to be the office where the incident took place. As a result of what detectives discovered, Sergeant Detective William Gallagher issued license premise inspection notice 021947 for assault and battery inside premise. The on-duty bartender, Ms. Kristen Bernstein, signed for it, accept the notice, this matter to be further investigated. That's all.
Thank you, Detective Hernandez. Attorney Conway, would you like to address the alleged incident?
Yes, Ms. Tessier, can you please state your name and full name for the board, please?
Sure. My name is Raina Tessier.
And you are familiar with Mr. Pine? Yes?
Yes, yes, he's been my
And you-
boyfriend now for 4 years.
Okay, so he's, to repeat, I'm sorry, he's your boyfriend of 4 years?
Yes, ma'am.
Could you please, in your own words, describe to the board what happened on the evening in question?
Sure. So first, I just want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. This is actually the first time that I've been able, allowed to speak and kind of say my side of things. Sorry, I'm a little nervous, so I just kind of had some words. So that night, a group of my friends and I were kind of bar hopping around the city. And the last bar that we ended up before Loyal 9, I was denied a shot. I had not eaten all day and was very much more drunk than usual, but not, I don't think realizing how drunk I was. And my, boyfriend had kind of stepped in with the bartender and said, she's done, we're gonna go home. That made me very upset. So I decided to go, up the street to Loyal 9 where I was also denied a shot. I became infuriated. I was, upset with my boyfriend and embarrassed. I didn't want to go home. So we had went downstairs to go and, have a chat and for him to try and attempt to calm me down so that we can leave the property and just go home. So I think, everyone gave us our space to speak. Obviously that escalated, very quickly. At different parts of the video, the part that, was suggested in the police report that, I was being suffocated is not the case. He was trying to pick me up off the floor. I think, in the past when we've been at home, when I've drank too much, I've passed out on the floor and he was nervous that I was going to pass out in the office downstairs. Again, I have prior history with this. Obviously not knowing my limit. And that's something that I'm embarrassed about. And so, afterwards, the urgency of him chasing me at different points, again, I don't know what snippets that you guys have, but the ones that I also have, my boyfriend appears defeated and sits down in the chair and is kind of just like, you can tell he's like, I don't know what to do in this situation. So eventually I got my second wind and tried to run upstairs to, have a confrontation with somebody, whoever denied me the shot or, clearly upset about the situation. And he was obviously nervous of me causing a scene and not wanting me to get in further altercation or into any trouble. So, yeah.
Is it a fair statement to say that Mr. Pine did not assault you that night? He was trying to assist you?
Not in any way, shape, or form. He has never assaulted me. He's never put his hands on me. He's never, that was not his attempt. His attempt was to protect me and to try and pick me up off the floor. And, you are only hearing one narrative of, it's easy to see, this man is trying to hurt me. And that wasn't the case in any way, shape, or form at all.
Thank you. Mr. Pine, would you like to please tell the board what happened that night?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much exactly what she just said. I was just trying to stop her from making bad decisions and take care of her. And so, anything physical is more me trying to restrain her from or stop her from making bad decisions.
Okay, and we will agree that she was denied service at Loyal 9 that night. Is that correct?
Yes.
I have no further questions for these two witnesses.
Thank you both for your testimony. We'll see if there are any questions. Chairwoman Joyce.
Yes. Mr. Pine, are you an employee of this? Were you an employee of Loyal 9?
Yes, but I was not working that night.
Ms. Tessier, were you an employee of Loyal 9?
I was not an employee. I did social media out of my own, wanting to do like social media, and I would take pictures every now and again, but I was not an employee.
Okay, what time of night was this?
This was probably like 11 o'clock at night. I think that was part of why I was upset and frustrated, because this was pretty early. I guess early is probably the wrong word to use, but it was early in the evening for what I assumed was why I was being cut off.
So Mr.
At the last
Pine,
bar I
you
was at
are-
before Loyal 9.
Mr. Pine, what is your role here? What was your role?
I was a manager,
You were the
manager.
manager.
but
And
I
you
was
were
not,
not working there, what?
I was not working that night, no.
You were not working that night. You were there with your girlfriend, or you were there on your own? What happened?
We were out together. We were out together before. And
And you
we
ended up at this place? So I will be honest with you, I had heard, I received anonymous calls about this incident. That employees all along Union Street were so frightened about what happened and the reaction from the ownership here, that the staff of Loyal 9 walked out the next day and refused to work because the two of you went back. Is that correct? As if nothing had happened?
Yes, but I mean, it did take on a life of its own, far from people created their own narrative and it took on a life of its own, and that's not what was happening. But yes, that happened.
Okay, and is anyone here from ownership or management besides you, Mr. Pine? Is Mr. Martinez here? Is Mr. Kaczynski here?
I don't believe so.
What happened when they heard about this incident?
We explained what happened to them. What people were talking about on the street is not what happened, and we explained what happened. I did step down from working there right after the incident.
Okay, so how many weeks after this incident did Loyal 9 close down officially?
I don't specifically know because I'd stepped
3
down.
weeks? Was it about 3 weeks?
I separated from them after, so I don't know specifically when they did.
Do you know, Attorney Conway?
It was approximately the end of June that that it closed down, or that we closed down.
So a couple weeks after this incident?
Yes.
So Mr. Pine, explain to me, when you talked to either Mr. Martinez or Lisi, who are the other managing members are, Derek Brady, Jason Kaczynski, and Patrick Kinsella, when you talked to them about what happened and your explanation, what was their response as managers? Because I just want to let you know that violations of this sort, should they be proven to be a violation, actually follow the owners and the license. Goes to the character and fitness of everyone.
Yeah, I mean, I explained what was happening in the video, which was not what everybody was talking about. We all agreed that it was probably best that that I step down and not work there anymore, just because the optics weren't great. I mean, they were certainly somewhat understanding, but certainly as far as running a business, it wasn't the best thing going forward. So we agreed it was the best thing for me to not be there anymore.
At any point, did anyone talk about filing a police report about this?
No, because they had both talked to both me and Raina, and we told them, you know, anybody that was saying anything about it was not present and was not there. So people were reading their own stories and whatnot. But the only two people in the room were me and her, and they had talked to both of us, and we explained what was happening. So, which was not what everybody was talking about.
Okay, so reports I got were that Loyal 9 was having after hours for the hospitality industry until about 4 a.m. with all the lights off and the doors locked. This wasn't that night, one of those nights?
No, I don't believe that wasn't going on when I was there. And no, it was not. So.
Okay, and so after this incident that was caught on video and recorded on someone's cell phone, you guys went back to work the next day?
We
The
did not
next-
go, I just want to say that we did not go back to work in the sense, I mean, it was closed. But,
Why did it close?
or I mean, that day, the next day, we went back and wanted to see the footage ourselves from start to finish. Not just the clippets that were kind of sent around and stuff. We wanted to see from start to finish how, you know, I wanted more clarity and a little bit more of accountability to kind of, you know, there were different parts, obviously, because I was how intoxicated I was. So there were moments that were splotchy for me. So
But why were they closed the next day? It's June, it's a bar.
we
in Cranial
we
Hall.
didn't have the staff that we had, we couldn't open. The staff had, some people had taken upon themselves to not, we can't open without staff that is able to
So
work.
did the staff all walk out because of this incident?
Some of them did.
Some
Yeah, some of them did.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
I'm-
I think the biggest
I
piece
know
of
that-
this is that these people have not, none of these people have reached out to me in any way, shape, or form to check on me or to ask me how I was. And have created their own narrative,
Sure,
I
I'm
was
just,
happy to explain.
and I respect all that, and I appreciate your story here, but I'm more concerned about management's reaction to this.
Sure.
And it sounds like they did not react, in my eyes, appropriately. The fact that they didn't think this was a big deal.
Well, that's not accurate. That somebody is saying that they didn't think it was a big deal. They listened, they did a thing, they
Did they
listened to
address the
their
incident with
employees.
any of the other staff that walked out that day and decided they no longer wanted to work for the establishment?
There's multiple people that did send video footage to the ownership. All the owners, they're the ones that definitely reached out to me and sat down with Raji and I and talked about making sure that I was okay. Of course, firsthand, hey, this is what we've heard. They did reach out to me and talk to me about it, and I made it very clear that that's not what happened. That's not what took place. I went home, I went to bed and woke up, and then that's when all of this kind of arose. But they made multiple attempts to check on me and make sure I was okay.
Okay.
I did not want to pursue any further action in regards. I did not absolutely want any of that. That was something that I made very clear, that I didn't want any police involved because he did not do any of the things that he's being accused of to me.
Okay, and I guess my last question, and I'll turn it over to the other commissioners afterwards. Mr. Pine, did any of the management sit down and have a staff meeting or address this incident? You said that you guys decided to part ways amicably, but are you aware of them addressing this incident with the rest of the staff?
I don't know. I had left by that point. So
Commissioner Carn, do you have any questions?
Yeah, my first question is for the sergeant. Did this first come to the attention of the Boston Police through the licensing board and only the licensing board's receipt of anonymous tips?
Yes, it was anonymous tips that had led us there, and we had observed the video, and we had been in contact with Commissioner Joyce, and we decided that we better step in and get involved because it looked pretty serious.
Okay. Does anyone have any sense of why someone on the night of, or very close to, right? That, because it sounds like this became a story right away, right?
Right. It did.
Do we have any sense of why someone went down to the office and took a cell phone video?
We have not talked to the person. It obviously for that person, I'm putting myself inside them. It seemed serious enough that they thought it should be investigated. And then, like I said, that's when we stepped in, and we weren't sure of the relationship between the parties. So we got the domestic violence unit involved, and Sergeant Detective Salucci did accompany us on that evening for the inspection.
Okay, so it seems to me that these two individuals are downstairs alone and no one else is there. So how did anyone become aware of it? Was it actions that have occurred later on? Or was it the noise and violence of it that drew people's attention? Does anyone know? Not just you, Sergeant.
We're just guessing that the employees upstairs heard the commotion. They were the only two observing the video downstairs. Then someone took it upon themselves to go downstairs with their cell phone and record what the house surveillance cameras were showing. And then they sent that to the board.
Ms. Tessier, you've raised your hand. Do you have any insight on this?
Yes, so no one had come downstairs after us. We had eventually went upstairs, and I was visibly upset. From a couple people that I've talked to, it was hard for them to understand what I was saying, given I was, obviously heavily intoxicated and also upset. So I think that's what kind of triggered them to, obviously, Raji was able to give a description, but just to ensure, my safety, I think that's why they went ahead and took the video. However, they did not reach out to me in any way, shape, or form before they kind of you know, sent out the video obviously and stuff like that. And I also had a comment, if I may, on Sergeant DeLucci and her conversation with me when she's the only other person I've talked to about this matter. Is that okay?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So when Sergeant DeLucci called me, she asked me to come in to D14 to talk with them. I was recommended by, you know, members of family. They did not want me to go alone. I didn't feel comfortable going alone, talking to her. And to be honest, I was frightened by the way that she was speaking to me, that this case wouldn't continue further, if I didn't obviously go in and talk to her. At one point she threatened, you know, that she could put out a warrant for, you know, his arrests. And, you know, there are words in the police report that are not accurate to my words. You know, after getting word of, you know, there are things that were twisted and that was not, you know, I didn't consent. Obviously that police report was went ahead and made, but I didn't consent to the things that were used in there. And there were things that there are untruths. Also in the anonymous, I saw that the anonymous statement that was reached out, there are several things that are not accurate. Raji did not fire anybody afterwards. He resigned and stepped down and, you know, respected the course that was about to take place. He didn't fire anybody afterwards. Obviously, you know, that people, you know, quit. So that was a lie. And we never deleted any footage of anything. You know, we just want to make that very clear that nothing, everybody had seen everything that had kind of been sent out. That was in the anonymous statement as well. That's not true. We had no intention. There's no way to hide this situation. It was obviously very embarrassing for both of us involved. And all the information had already been taking place. We went down there to see for ourselves, start to finish, what had transpired. You know, so I just wanted to make that clear. In regards to that statement, when I had said, hey, respectfully, Sergeant DeLucci, I don't want to come in and speak about this. We want to move on. And she was like, we'll see you in court. And that was her, you know, exact words to me. So I was not comforted in talking to her. I felt like I was, you know, on trial almost for trying to share my side of the story. So I just wanted to say that as well.
What date did this occur? We have it, our date recorded is the day that you were served, that the business was served with the violation. What date did this occur?
I believe it was Monday, the 13th or 14th of May, whatever the Monday was of that week.
Of
So
May.
that evening. Yep.
Give me 1 second, I'm sorry. Yeah, Attorney Conway, I mean, why isn't management here to address why they didn't go to police a month before the, you know, licensed premise unit finally made it out there?
Well, I mean, that would be, it's not as though management didn't refuse. We came here with the actual witnesses to tell you what to do, and that the management sat down and listened to them, and they parted ways with this. It was not something that needed to have a police report, especially since Ms. Tessier did not want that to happen.
Yeah, but don't you think that it's really not the parties involved decision of whether to call the police? It's management's decision?
No, I think that management are.
Attorney Conway, I very, very much disagree. I think this is clearly a matter on viewing that is serious enough to have the police sorted out and not to leave it to the parties involved.
Well, as I said, the police have been involved, and we're
But
doing that. But
they were only involved by third parties, not by management.
well, I disagree that I think management conducted an investigation. It was a one-time thing.
Management kept a very serious matter in-house and away from the police.
I respectfully disagree.
And even if
that was a duty on the part of the management.
Attorney Conway, even if even if I were to accept this explanation of what I'm seeing, it doesn't mean that it doesn't need to be investigated by, authorities.
I don't know on what basis that the management would have that, other than to do an investigation to see there was no alcohol served by Loyal 9, and both of the parties involved here explained what happened, and management accepted their explanation.
So also, I just want to make it clear that they asked me if there was anything that they needed to pursue. I have been the one that has been adamant of not wanting, so, I mean, I don't know if that, I don't want to be, out of line or anything in regards of like, I don't know anything, the law or whatever. I did not want this to be a bigger thing. I made that clear to all the owners that contacted me, asked me if I was okay. And I made it very clear that I'm 100% okay. I don't want this to continue on any further, and this has been something that has been completely, I know, I guess what you're seeing in front of you, but this is something that has been completely blown out of proportion.
Right. So Ms. Tessier, what I'd say to you that is, if management did their job as we see it, as I see it, I only speak for myself. And I'll wait until I have your attention again. Ms. Tessier?
Oh, sorry about that. I'm at work, so someone had stepped into my office. I apologize. Could you repeat
know
yourself?
that, yeah. What I'd say to you is, if from my perspective, if management had done what I expect of them, this might not have been this big of a deal, and you might not have had to come here and testify in front of us, because it might have been wrapped up and it might have been accepted as, what happened. Okay?
Yeah, and I did make it.
I think they did you a disservice by not calling the police right at the time and having this thing settled in a manner which is proper, and at the time too, not a month later.
Okay. And I did try to talk to Sergeant DeLucci.
From my
and
perspective, this was an attempt by management to sweep this under the rug. Okay, and I can see if I'm accepting what you're saying here today, I can see your inclination to really not want to let it blow up. But what actually has happened is the opposite.
Okay, I also want to make clear, no one has tried to sweep this under the rug. This is
From Ms. Tessier's, respectfully, from my perspective, when management didn't get the police involved, because they're a licensee of the city of Boston. Okay, and they know that serious matters like this, what I'm seeing in this video, it's an automatic call to the police. It's not even a question. Okay, and the authorities, not in-house, should be settling something, should be getting to the bottom of something like this. Regardless of your wishes, I'm sorry. I think it might be confused by the fact that you're somewhat close to the business, but even more so, that's a conflict of interest. It's even more of a reason for them to get a third party involved. It's completely unacceptable, and I'm just telling you, by listening to you, they've done you a disservice. You might not even have ended up here today if they had called the police at the time, a month before we were able to get out there.
And actually, that goes for Raji as well. I mean, you as a former manager, it should have been automatic for you to say, this is an incident that requires calling of the police. And Attorney Conway, just through 3 years of your years of practice, that there actually is a standard that we have. There actually are violations of people when they fail to call the police, and so this is actually a pretty, there are mistakes and intentional errors all the way around.
But yes,
never mind the history of this licensee.
I would say, but that's assuming that there's assault that took place, but there wasn't.
Oh,
an
no.
assault that took place.
Mr. Pine.
We're not talking about an assault. We're just simply talking about an incident that required police attention.
First of all, there's 100% assaults taking place in this video. The question is whether they're defensible. Right?
I mean, I would disagree. I would say it's misleading, but
you have her by the neck. arm across her neck, dragging her to the ground.
I was trying to pick her up and she was
Oh,
swerving.
no, I understand what your explanation is, right? But that would only make it defensible. Doesn't mean you didn't do it. Right?
Agreed.
Okay, so you did it. It's clearly visible. That's what necessitates an automatic calling of the police. That's why management can't sort it out themselves. That's why, especially a licensee with the history that this licensee has, where we basically shut them down indefinitely based on violence. It's completely unacceptable. And the more I hear you guys trying to defend it, the madder I'm getting about it. I'm sorry. Of all licensees, this is ridiculous.
I have a couple more questions.
Sorry, just one moment, Chairman Joyce and Commissioner Corwin. I've just realized we've lost Attorney Conway from the connection here. I'm not quite sure what happened, but I don't know if we want to continue at the moment without their representation with them. So hang on.
I have two more questions. And Attorney Conway can, if Mr. Pine can't answer them, Attorney Conway can update us in writing. Any of the police that are on the hearing today, do you have any information about whether or not management cooperated with the investigation?
Madam Chair, on the date that we did get in, we had made several, actually quite a few attempts to get in and do an inspection. And they were consistently closed and unavailable for us to get in. On the date we did get in there to do the inspection, the employees there, the bartender was on loan from the Point. She was not an employee, and the gentleman that was the person in charge worked at several of the locations. He was aware of the incident, but he wasn't a regular employee either. So I'd have to say no. There was just no one there for us to really deal with that had any authority. Everyone was kind of like just filling in.
It's my understanding from Sergeant Detective Salucci that she made multiple attempts to speak to people there, and she was given the runaround. So they were not cooperative at all. They were just not helping at all. Even just getting contact information for the victim at the time. I guess they were definitely not trying to answer any phone calls, and were just not cooperative at all.
Lieutenant Detective Troy, not previously sworn, I can add from the detective's notes if
Sure.
Attorney Green could swear me in.
All right, yes, Lieutenant Troy, can you please raise your right hand?
Yeah.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Reading from Sergeant Detective Salucci's notes, and starts following Ms. Tessier's when she declined to meet the Sergeant Detective. It says inquiries made to retrieve further video from several affiliates of Loyal 9 yielded negative results. Reach out to the following who may have failed to furnish any video or further information despite the fact that they were all aware of the matter. First visit was the person in charge, Chris Martinez, stated that he did not have access to the video. Martinez furnished the name of Brandon McLaughlin, who furnished no video, but later confirmed Ms. Tessier's last name. Licensing board furnished the CV license, which stated the manager is Jason Kaczynski. However, when I contacted him on Sergeant Detective Salucci contacted him on June 26th. He stated that he is sold out of the company in December 2023. Mr. Kaczynski then provided Derek Brady as being the manager now. On June 27th, the Sergeant Detective spoke to Mr. Brady, who failed to provide any further information or video. And that's from the Sergeant Detective's notes.
Okay, thank you. I think it's my last question. So Mr. Pine, you said you parted ways with management?
Yes.
Okay, so Mr. Brady is one of the managers or one of the owners, members of the LLC. Do you have any business dealings with him anywhere anymore?
No, no.
Okay, do you have any ownership interest in any other liquor licenses in the city of Boston?
No.
No, did you have ownership interest?
No, never in the city of Boston.
What about Full Revolution LLC? You were 7%, I'm sorry, 17% interest owner with Derek Brady, who's 83% interest owner, in a decision from the ABCC for a
That was in-
violation from here.
That was in Newton, for a place that's no longer open.
Says Full Revolution LLC, 116 to 120 Brighton Avenue, Boston, Mass. I saw the Union Street one in Newton. This is one from our board.
If
Two members, Derek Brady, with
Yep.
an 83% interest, who's also a manager here, and Raji Pine, 17% interest.
we had made an attempt to purchase a business a couple of years ago that never
Okay, and
happened.
you have no other ownership interest with him.
Nope.
I think those are all my questions.
Thank you. Anything further? Board will take this matter under advisement. Thank you all for being with us, and thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
Thank you. We are going to take a second call. I do believe we have been joined. Item number 4, FSW LLC, doing business as Clock Tavern, located at 342 West Broadway in South Boston. Date of the incident, May 2nd, 2024. Overcrowding, 104 mechanical count, capacity 90, in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Board's Rule 1.03J and 1.06A and F. Who's present on behalf of the licensee?
I'm here, Matthew Gateman, the manager of record.
Thank you, Mr. Gateman. Who's present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
I am Detective Hernandez.
Thank you. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify?
Sergeant Detective William Gallagher, if need be.
Thank you very much. Can you please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
I do.
Thank you, Detective Hernandez. If you could please read the police report into the record.
Good morning. I'll be reading again from the report, which I wrote on Thursday, May 2nd, 2024. Sergeant Detective William Gallagher, Detective Eddie Hernandez assigned to the BPD license premise unit conducted the license premise inspection of the Clock Tavern. The detectives were also there to speak to staff regarding a noise complaint that had been received. The complaint stated that loud music and bass was emanating from the establishment, disturbing the neighbors. As detectives walked inside the establishment, detectives asked the front door staff how many patrons they currently had. The staff member stated they had a count of 90 patrons. While reviewing the license and permits of the establishment, detective learned the capacity of the premises set at 90 patrons. Detective Hernandez performed a mechanical count of the establishment and discovered the actual number of persons located inside the premises 104. Detectives brought this to the attention of the person in charge, Mr. John Tian. Mr. Tian stated he would immediately bring the establishment into compliance. As a result of what detectives discovered, Sergeant Detective Gallagher issued license plate inspection notes 018 and 014 for overcrowding of the establishment. Mr. Tian signed for an accepted notice. It should be noted at the time of the inspection at approximately 10:30, the establishment was in compliance with the noise ordinance. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Gateman. Would you like to address the alleged incident?
Yeah, so I also have with me Johnny Tian. I think he's on here.
Oh, thank you. Yes,
Present here.
we see Mr. Tian. You have not been sworn in yet. Could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gateman and Mr. Tian. You may please continue with your testimony.
So John he's the assistant manager and he was the person in charge. I was not there at the time of this incident. We were using a mechanical click, and we now changed it to an app that we have called Vimos. We scan the IDs and we click the ins and the outs, and there was just a mistake that night and we fixed it.
Thank you. Anything further you'd like the board to consider before we move to questions?
Not at this moment.
Thank you. We will see if there are any questions from the board, starting with Chairwoman Joyce.
Thanks, I have no questions.
Commissioner Carter, Commissioner Saxon.
Just some standard stuff I go over with, I mean, stuff like this, you know, you're a significant percentage over here, 138 for 104. You know, do you train your inside staff to kind of be aware of what the place looks like when it's at capacity and you know, alert co-workers management as like, hey, we're too crowded here, we gotta stop?
It was, we were 104 and our capacity is 90.
104 to 90. Oh, you know what? That differential is not something I usually cite. It's not that far off. So sorry. I thought it was a different differential.
No problem.
What are your, you know, procedures inside kind of to double check the door?
Yeah, so we usually run 3 security plus Johnny, and if I'm there during the night. We have 1 guy inside, usually 1 outside, and 1 that kind of floats between outside, inside, and he floats around. And the new app, Vmos, that we've been using has been helping a lot. It scans in all the IDs and it just, you know, we know everyone that's in there, and it takes the click, it makes it pretty easy as well. We're using the mechanical ones and I don't know, we slipped up somehow.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about the number discrepancy there. Thank you.
Problem.
No questions. Thank you.
Mike,
Thank you.
this isn't a question. I just want to, for management's purposes, are you aware of all the noise complaints this office has gotten about your establishment in the short period of time you've been open?
Yes, we are. We have been talking to Rebecca also. I'm not sure if she's on this call.
Now it's a slightly different department, but we
It
can
was
talk about that. And yeah, you can let me know what you're doing, sure, but we'll have to address that separately.
Have they still been coming in?
I would say yes. I can't remember off the top of my head, but yes.
I think probably 9 out of 10 complaints have come from the neighbors on the 3rd floor of the building, and they are moving out, I believe, the end of this month.
All right, thank you.
Anything further from the board? Board will take this matter under advisement as well. Thank you for being with us, Mr. Gateman and Mr. Tian.
Thank you, and sorry we were late.
No worries. Those are all of the items before the board this morning that will adjourn this hearing. The board will meet to vote on Thursday, August 22nd at 10 a.m. Thank you all and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.